It is a quiet Saturday morning, and Dave is standing in his kitchen in his favorite pair of old faded sweatpants. In his right hand, he's holding a ceramic mug of coffee that has gone completely cold. He doesn't notice the temperature of the drink because he's been staring at the glowing screen of his smartphone for exactly 11 minutes. In the background, the dishwasher is humming through its final cycle, and from the living room, he can hear the faint, happy sounds of Saturday morning cartoons. His daughter is laughing at something on the screen, but Dave is mentally miles away, trapped in a cold, hard vortex of numbers that refuse to make sense. The headline on his screen is from a major financial news outlet, and it feels like a physical punch to the stomach. It says the average American in their mid-40s now has a net worth of almost $1 million. Dave is 45 years old. He does a quick, frantic mental inventory of his life. He looks at his bank app. The balance is enough to cover the mortgage and the groceries, but it's not exactly a fortune. He thinks about his retirement fund, which has grown over the years, but is nowhere near 7 figures. He looks around the kitchen he's been paying for since 2012. He adds it all up, and the realization hits him like a physical weight. He is nowhere near $1 million. In that moment, Dave feels a sharp tightening in his chest. He feels a sense of quiet, desperate failure. He is doing what millions of people across the country are doing this morning, staring at a screen and trying to figure out if he is the broken part of the American dream. Well, Dave, I have some good news and some very bad news for you, and the truth has nothing to do with your character or how hard you've worked. The good news is that the number you just read, that $1 million average, is a lie. It is a piece of statistical, mathematically laundered fiction designed to generate clicks and anxiety. The bad news, however, is that the real number isn't much better, and it comes with a ticking clock that most people are choosing to ignore until it's far too late. Today, we are going to look behind the curtain of the American middle class. We are going to strip away the glossy headlines and find out exactly where you stand in 2026. I want to show you the real scorecard for your age group, and I am going to give you a specific strategy to escape what I call the sandwich squeeze. But to start, we have to look at the math that is currently making you feel like a failure. Let's talk about that terrifying number, $975,800. According to the most recent data, that is the average net worth for a household headed by someone aged 45 to 54. When you see that number, it's natural to feel like everyone else is secretly rich while you're just barely treading water. But you have to understand that something is fundamentally wrong with the way we use the word average. In the world of statistics, the average is calculated by adding everyone's wealth together and dividing it by the number of people. It sounds fair, but it's easily manipulated by outliers. Imagine you put a multi-billionaire in a room with 9 people who have exactly $0 in their pockets. Mathematically, the average person in that room is now a 100 millionaire. Even the stray cat living in the alley behind that room is a millionaire on paper. It is a completely useless metric for a guy like Dave, who is just trying to pay for his kids' braces and save for a retirement where he doesn't have to worry about the cost of electricity. To find the truth of where the actual middle class stands, we have to look at the median. The median is the person standing exactly in the middle of the line. If you line up every 45-year-old in the country, from the poorest to the wealthiest, the person in the center is the median. That person is your neighbor. That person is Dave. And the median net worth for this age group is not $1 million. It is roughly $247,000. Think about that gap for a second. There's a $728,000 difference between the headline you see on the news and the reality of your street. If you felt bad about not having $1 million, you can breathe now. You aren't falling behind $1 million standard. You are likely right in the middle of a much more modest and common reality. But I don't want you to get too comfortable, because even that $247,000 number is hiding a dangerous secret. When the system calculates net worth, it includes everything you own. And for the typical 45-year-old, roughly 60 to 70% of that entire net worth is locked inside the walls of their house. It's illiquid wealth. It is equity that exists in bricks, mortar, and the kitchen renovation you did 5 years ago. The problem with home equity is that you cannot spend it. You cannot go to the grocery store and pay for eggs with a piece of your drywall. You cannot use your master bathroom to pay for a medical emergency. If you strip away the home equity, the bricks and mortar wealth, the median 45-year-old is actually left with about $87,000 in liquid assets. That $87,000 is the only real cushion between Dave and a total financial disaster. That money has to cover his retirement, his emergency fund, his kids' college tuition, and the life he wants to live. When you look at it that way, the millionaire headline feels less like news and more like a cruel joke. Now, I want you to do something that might feel a bit uncomfortable. I want you to pause this video. Seriously, stop and open your banking app or grab a piece of paper. I want you to add up every liquid dollar you actually have access to right now. Your savings, your checking, and your retirement accounts. Add in your home equity if you want to see the big number, but then I want you to subtract every single dollar you owe to the system. Subtract the credit cards, the car loans, the mortgage, and those student loan statements that are sitting unopened on your counter. Got your number? Good. Hold on to it, because here is the real scorecard for age 45. If your net worth is under $48,000, you are in the bottom 25% of your peers. If you are sitting around $247,000, you are mathematically right in the middle of the pack. If you've managed to hit $680,000, you are in the top quarter. You are doing better than 75% of the country. And if you are at $1.4 million or more, congratulations, you are in the top 10%. You are the person everyone else is comparing themselves to. If your number made your chest tighten again, you need to realize that Dave's generation, the people in their late 30s to early 50s, is carrying a burden that no other generation in history has had to face. There is a reason this age group has the highest total debt load in the country. The average person in their mid-40s is sitting on over $158,000 of debt. That is 50% more than the national average across all age groups. They have the highest credit card balances, the biggest mortgages, and the largest home equity lines of credit. But here is the one that always surprises people. Roughly 1 in 10 people in this age bracket are still paying off student loans. Sometimes it's their own loans from a degree they got 20 years ago, but more often it is Parent Plus loans they took out to help their children get through college. These loans are a form of financial extraction. They carry high interest rates. They don't qualify for most forgiveness programs. They just sit there compounding every month, eating away at the capital that should be going into a retirement fund. Dave is currently paying more for his son's freshman year of college than he is putting into his own future. He is paying for 3 generations at once, his kids' future, his own present, and as we are about to see, his parents' past. This is what we call the sandwich generation. It is a uniquely modern trap. Because of increases in life expectancy and the rising cost of elder care, more than half of people in their 40s are currently supporting an aging parent while also raising a child. About 1 in 5 are pulling triple duty managing all 3 at the same time. Dave's mom is 74. 2 years ago, she started forgetting simple things. Last year, she had a scare with the stove. Now, she is in an assisted living facility that costs over $6,000 a month. Insurance only covers so much. Dave and his sister have to split the remaining bill. Dave's share is $1,400 a month. That is $1,400 that used to go into his wealth building engine. Every month his mother stays in that facility. Dave's own future security shrinks. He is caught in a squeeze where the people he loves are unintentionally draining the resources he needs to survive his own old age. And if you think that's where the pressure ends, we have to address the wealth transfer myth. If you are in your 40s and you're behind on your savings, it is extremely tempting to quietly tell yourself a story. You tell yourself, it's okay. My parents have a house. I'll inherit something eventually, and that will be my safety net. Let me respectfully take that pillow away from you right now. While there is a massive wealth transfer coming as the older generation passes away, that money is extraordinarily concentrated at the top. The vast majority of that wealth belongs to just a few households who already have millions. For the median person, the inheritance is not what you think it is. The median inheritance for the bottom half of the population is under $10,000. That isn't generational wealth. That is the price of a used car with high mileage. It is a one-time patch, not a ticket to freedom. By the time the nursing home and the long-term care system are done with your parents' estate, there is often nothing left but memories and a pile of old photo albums. So, where does that leave Dave? He's 45, he's in the sandwich squeeze, his debt is high, and the millionaire headline he saw was a fantasy. This is the point where most people want to turn off the video and look away, but if you feel that tension in your gut right now, listen closely, because that is the correct reaction. That tension is your internal system telling you that the old rules don't work anymore and you need a new architecture for your life. The math is tight, but it is not hopeless. You still have one thing that is almost impossible to buy back once it's gone, a 20-year compounding window. Most people think that because they didn't start at 25, they are cooked. But a 20-year window starting at 45 is still long enough to perform a miracle if you stop playing the consumer game and start playing the architect game. Let's run the real numbers. Imagine Dave decides today is the day the leak stops. He performs a full audit on his life. He cuts the Go subscriptions. He stops the high interest debt cycle, and he negotiates his recurring bills. He manages to find $700 a month in found money capital that was previously being extracted by the system for things he didn't even care about. If Dave takes that $700 and simply turns on the compounding machine, do you know what happens? If he invests that money into a simple low-cost index fund at a historical 7% return, after 20 years, on the day he turns 65, that decision made on a random Monday morning in his kitchen is worth $380,000. $380,000 for one conversation with himself and a few hours of setup. That isn't a finance guru trick. That is just the law of compounding interest. It is the difference between retiring with a sense of dignity or spending your 70s worrying about the price of gas. The worst thing you can do at 45 is decide that it is too late. The system wants you to believe you are too far behind to catch up, because people who feel hopeless are the easiest to keep as receivers. They keep spending because they don't see the point in building, but the compounding window is still open for you. It stays open for about 20 more years, whether you choose to use it or not. Dave decides to act. He stops looking at the average and starts looking at the action. He opens the retirement app he's been avoiding. He bumps his contribution by just 4%. That's a few $100s he'll never even miss from his daily life, but his future self will see it as a fortune. He sets up an automatic transfer for another small amount into a separate account. He didn't have to find a secret investment. He just had to fix the plumbing. But there is one more piece of the puzzle that no one wants to talk about: the upcoming Social Security challenges. Official reports suggest that the trust funds could be depleted by 2035. This doesn't mean the money disappears, but it means that unless there is significant policy change, everyone drawing a check could see a cut of over 20%. Now, look at the timeline. The oldest members of the current workforce are reaching retirement age just as this cliff approaches. This is not a coincidence. It is a demographic reality. Most people are worried about it, and they have every right to be. They aren't being paranoid. They are simply reading the data. This is why your sovereignty ratio matters more than your current net worth. It's not about how much you have in the bank today. It's about how much of your future you are taking back from the system every month. Dave realized that his house is a beautiful structure, but it's his liquid investments that will provide his escape route. So let's total up where Dave actually stands. He has a net worth of $247,000, but most of it is in his house. He has 62,000 in his retirement account. He has 158,000 in debt. He has a mother who needs care, a son who needs help with tuition, and a daughter who still thinks $1 million is all the money in the world. He has an inheritance that is likely being consumed by the cost of living and a social security check that is caught in a political storm. On paper, Dave has a math problem, but Dave is no longer a receiver. He has become an architect. He has stopped comparing himself to a fake average and started focusing on his own blueprint. He realized that the race is still on. He just has to stop pretending the finish line is going to wait for him to get ready. I want you to look at your own number again, the one you wrote down earlier. If you are above that median mark of 247,000, you are doing better than half of the country. If you are above 680,000, you are in the top tier. But the absolute number doesn't matter as much as the direction of the flow. Ask yourself, am I moving money into my own engine, or is the system moving money out of my life? I want to hear from you in the comments today, and I want us to be honest with each other. What was your number? Are you feeling the sandwich squeeze right now? Are you supporting a parent and a child at the same time? Tell us your story. When we talk about these numbers openly, they lose their power to make us feel ashamed. We realize that we aren't failures. We are just playing a game that got much, much harder while we weren't looking. The goal of our work here is to help you perform a complete audit on your financial life. We look at how to stop the leaks, how to build the automated systems, and how to operate from a position of power. You have the ability to design a life of financial sovereignty no matter where you are starting today. But as we always say, knowledge without execution is just a more expensive form of entertainment. Your new life as a sovereign architect starts the moment you take that first action. It starts when you decide to stop being a receiver and start being the architect of your own time. Subscribe to join the lab, turn on your notifications, and share this with one person who needs to know they aren't alone in the squeeze. The audit is complete. Your blueprint is ready. Remember, your income is a choice. My name is Rob, and I'll see you in the next one.